You know, I was working on a video idea and I stumbled onto an interesting thought that I think you'll like to hear. Bleach's Hell arc is one of the most in-demand arcs in all of manga, and it continues to be. But beyond the hype we feel towards getting to read more Bleach, despite the great feeling of seeing Ichigo and the crew back on those kubological pages, there is still a story-relevant reason for the Hell arc to exist. There is a very important reason why the Hell arc needs to happen. You see, I was looking through my old Bleach notes and I noticed something. There are a ton of Bleach villains littered throughout the story of Bleach, from Aizen to Yuha, Ginjo, and everyone in between. Each and every one of these people committed actions that made them a threat to life as we know it, all to varying degrees. Ginjo's was more personal, but he was certainly not above putting innocent people in danger to further his goal. Aizen was more grandiose than Ginjo, and Yuha was even more big picture than Aizen. But the one aspect all Bleach villains seem to share is that their path for change, the thing that put them on this warpath of destruction, their trigger, if you will, always seemed to come from the inbuilt society that existed. The world of Bleach itself seemed to create these so-called villains. And even after our heroes defeat these villains, the sins of the society which created these villains are seemingly left alone, left unanswered, left unbothered. And it's a very interesting choice on Kubo's part. Allow me to elaborate further, because the more you understand this perspective I have, the more important this Hell arc becomes, and you can almost start to see what it is Kubo is preparing himself to do. At the start of Bleach, when the Soul Reapers were presented to be, quote, the bad guys, we venture into this new world called the Soul Society. And after a brief time there, we immediately notice some problems with the so-called afterlife or heaven. To begin with, there is a clear elitist system where the few at the top dominate those at the bottom. The Rukon district is the area surrounding the Seraite where the Soul Reapers live, and it's systematically positioned as the poorest region in the Soul Society. Not only are members of the Rukon district looked down upon by the rest of the elites, there have been measures taken to make sure that they never find the strength or resources to rise up and stand up for themselves. Every newly inducted member into society is separated from the family they had in life and given new families so as to prevent them from ever truly banding together to stand up to their oppressors. You're forced to live a new life with a new family, discarding the life you once had. They're barefoot, they live very depressing lives, and the Soul Reapers are depicted to be an oppressive force. Mairo Kurotsuchi constantly kills them for whatever reason he comes up with at whatever time it's convenient. They are, for all intents and purposes, sheep for the Soul Reapers to use for whatever means necessary. When Ichigo and the others first encountered them, it was evident that they noticed how weird things were. Ichigo went on a huge crusade fighting against Soul Society's laws and customs, and credit to him. But from Kubo's perspective, I remember reading all of this and thinking, well, wait a minute. Do we just ignore everything we've just seen? There's clearly something wrong with the system here. There's clearly something really messed up about this society. But Kubo sort of just highlights the problem, and he left it there, seemingly uninterested in resolving it. Think to what happened with Central 46, a single judicial system made up of 46 members who create the laws of the Soul Society and control both the military minds in the Gote 13 and the execution squad. Their word is law, and everything they say goes. Aizen took control of the entire Seraite by just taking over Central 46. There was a huge indictment on their societal structure. Clearly, giving all that power to a single body without checks and balances is a terrible idea. But not only do the powers that be of Bleach not change the system, they just let another 46 people back into Central 46 and we're right back where we started. Again, I turn to Kubo and I say, is there a reason you're not addressing these very obvious societal problems? Is there a reason you're just leaving these questions unanswered? Aizen Sosuke's war on the world was centered around his desire to overthrow the current iteration of society ruled by the one they call the Soul King. In his words, he refuses to live in a world ruled by that thing. Aizen did some bad things, and for that, he was viewed as a dangerous being, absolutely. However, the thing that made Aizen bad was also bad. That we condemned Aizen, and after defeating him, we're like, oh, that was weird. He was such a bad guy. Oh well, back to normal we go. And I'm like, no. Aizen might have been weird about how he handled it, but he was right to be angered by the truth he learned. Will none of you do anything about that truth? will none of you do anything to stop the obvious problem? Yuha is in the same boat here, the so-called son of the Soul King, the wielder of the Almighty, one who knew about the dark history of the Soul Society's origin and how the world came to be. He knew about the original sin committed by the elites of the Soul Society, butchering the Soul King and looting his body for parts in pursuit of their own individual ideas of strength and power. Yuha needed to be stopped, absolutely. But just because we beat Yuha doesn't mean his trigger for waging war on the world suddenly disappeared. Yuha being bad does not make Ichibe Hyosobe good. He is still a fallen high priest of the Soul Society, choosing to deceive everyone instead of telling them the truth. The nobles are still controlling the masses from the shadows by impacting the new systems, the military systems, and the technological systems that have been established. And then we come to the Hell Arc, and there's yet another example of this flawed society that exists within Bleach. A society that would cast the souls of the very ones who protected it into hell, using a means they specifically kept hidden, not revealing its truth to the ones meant to protect it. These are not fabrications. This is real. The soul of captains have been being sent to hell, and only certain people knew. Hell has been close by this entire time, and some knew, while others did not. These things are true. Yuha or not, these things are true. Aizen or not, these things are true. But Kubo seemingly elected just to highlight these points in the story. From the very beginning, he chose to show how bad society was, he chose to show how flawed, fractured, and broken it was, but kept leaving it unattended. Until now. You see, that is why Bleach's Hell Arc needs to happen. It needs to happen because the culprits, whoever they might be, the harbinger of all of this chaos, they will finally have to answer for their crimes. Who is it that made society the way that it is? Who is it that holds jurisdiction over hell? Who is it that continues to lie about the true history of the Soul Society? Who is it that continues to keep this veil of lies up, refusing to bring it down? Hell has come to us, and with it comes a trigger that will ignite our heroes into questioning the things they ignored for so long. Aizen was mad about something. He was mad about something actually important, and you beat Aizen, cool. But what about the thing Aizen was mad about? What will you do about that now? Hell Arc holds the answer. Yuha was mad about something actually important, and you defeated him, cool. But what about the thing he was mad about? Will you finally ask the right questions? The Hell Arc holds the answer. Now that every captain class individual is set for a one-way trip to hell upon their deaths, will they now question why Ichibe Hyosobe continues to keep the truth from them? Will they now question the fact that as long as the Zero Ridden remains, Ichibe Hyosobe and Squad Zero will not die, but they will keep returning, revitalizing, resurrecting, living forever, saving themselves from this cruel fate, while everyone else is damned for an eternity in hell? Will they finally start questioning how messed up Bleach society has been from the very beginning? Hell Arc holds the answer. Fate has finally decided to come calling. By deciding to establish society in the way that they did, they created a monster that is now bearing its fangs directly at them. And in order to overcome this adversary, they finally have to question the society in which they live. They finally have to question their history, question their customs, their tradition, their sense of reality, truth, and normalcy. And by exploring these concepts, the Bleach world will be opened in a way that it hasn't ever been before. Truths will finally be revealed, and important conversations will have to be had. The world of Bleach is a cruel place, motivated by a will of its own. A will to progress sometimes, a will to regress other times. And now, 12 years after the defeat of the Quincy King Yuha Baha, the world has decided that it is time to move again. Hell has come. Hell is here.